Yeah, we're
Uh,
started. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
You just sound really disappointing when you.
I didn't see it hit the 1, although from where I'm sitting, I have my recording page on my right monitor, and
Yeah.
my microphone's like centered in front of it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of don't see the numbers if I'm looking at it the right way.
There's definitely a way to put your mic on your like
Yeah,
setup, and I
probably is.
definitely probably have not perfected that, considering like mine's slightly off kiltered at this point
Yeah.
in time. Like it's not centered out, but anyways, that's besides the point.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I have it this
you,
way.
you
I
would
have a
think after like 3 or 4 years of doing this, I don't even know how long we're at now anymore, but you'd think we'd be better at it.
I I mean, I wouldn't trust a person who's good at making podcasts.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. All the people I like that are like really good at podcasting are like always say they're really bad at it. So I think there's like a level of fiasco that needs to be involved.
Yeah. Like, give in to the chaos, I guess, type
Yeah.
ordeal.
Uh,
Speaking of chaos, this recording schedule has not
oh yeah, no, it's been a little while.
sorted itself out
But
recently,
yeah,
but
yeah, I think you had to move. You had said so. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually in town now, like I can walk to my job in like under five
Oh,
minutes or
oh yeah,
something,
that's
so
nice.
that's kind of nice. I don't have
Okay,
to figure out how to get food home from a scooter, like
but yeah. So Life Force is what we're reviewing this week. I think we're gonna do 2 or 3 movie reviews in a row here, just to
sure.
like relax. Cody's picking the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and I
couldn't
feel
think of
like
anything this week.
yeah,
So it's like let's
yeah,
just do whatever Kyle wants, because
yeah.
like
I
that's easier than
yeah. I said something
having to think.
effective like I want to do your something Life Force, and then you can pick something. Or I
Yeah.
said you could pick something, and then we'll do Life Force. But yeah, but yeah, and there was some third thing I wanted to do after that, but I can't remember right now.
It's always a weird palate cleanser, and this like in my opinion, this was a good palate cleanser. Like
Yeah, this was.
it's generally a different take on like the genre, but
Mhm.
I don't want to say it's not been done before, because I think the
Yeah,
premise is kind of well,
I feel
I
like
guess it has its own merits.
um, yeah, it might be like a pretty early example of what it's doing. We'll get into this a little bit, but it's yeah, it's nice. It's a British film, um,
Mhm.
which was interesting. It was a lot stupider than I was maybe thinking it was, honestly.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So the backstory here is this is based off a novel called The Space Vampires by Colin Wilson. Um,
Okay.
Colin Wilson wrote a writing guidebook. I can maybe find what it's called here because I did read it. He did a writing advice book at some point because he's written a lot of books. This guy's got like a massive little library of books.
Yeah, but
Uh,
anything like notable
well,
besides
for
this?
this, he's written like a good portion of nonfiction
Mhm.
and fiction. Trying to find the book I read because I did definitely read this guy's writing advice book at one point, or at least he must have been in it. But yeah, I don't know if he was like a thing. I definitely did because it was his. No, I'm not sure if it was like his book, but it was definitely because he was talking in it. It was some sort of writing advice book, but I read his. So this guy's I guess you could say if you're not a fan of my writing, it's his fault. He can play Colin Wilson. Some, I guess, I don't know. No, I'm not finding it on here. It must be. But yeah, so he wrote a book. In that little book, he wrote a little bit about how he had gotten his novel The Space Vampires, which is a 1976 novel. It had gotten made into a movie, this movie in 1985,
Yep.
obviously. So that's so, and he was like talking a little bit about that, and he was like, "Yeah, no, it was neat. I didn't really care for the results," he said, because it felt like they had cut out a lot of the buildup. And watching it, because I kind of wanted to confirm that, I do feel like there's something to that. I think there's other problems with the book,
Fair enough.
but yeah, but yeah, there's definitely other problems with the book, with the movie, but that is something I did feel. I did feel that I was accurate. However, the movie is an hour and 50 minutes long, so adding 40 minutes to the beginning of it, that would make it like, and adding any amount of time to the beginning of the movie would just make it over 10 minutes, would make it over 2 hours.
And on top of that, that's a build-up. Like, if somebody is like, "Hey, they didn't put in the ending that I liked," I kind of understand that. Like, you want to at least a finished result to be as good as like the start of the movie. But if you're telling me that the beginning of the movie is where there's like they should have added more, I feel like that's when you're gonna start having issues. Like,
Yeah.
I want a something that builds fairly quickly. I don't want something that's going to be like a slow burner, especially not in what I would consider like the zombie adjacent or the zombie um yeah, I guess zombie adjacent's the only real way to say it. Like, build up is kind of really the bad part about zombie films, at least in my opinion.
I think I maybe found it. I think it's called like The Craft of a Novel, but I read like a later version of the book.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I'm also looking at like the Goodreads, and like all the entries are in Arabic for whatever. All the reviews are in Arabic except for two. Yeah, so that's a night. That's, I think I left the read like a later version of it, but I think, I don't know. This was famously a box office bomb. It did not. I don't have like the full box office numbers for it. It only gives us U.S. domestic box office, which obviously, because it's like a UK based film, it would have had like a presumably a decent release in the UK, or a
Hmm.
decently wide release in the UK, but I don't have those numbers. So it definitely didn't make its money, because I just see that hard to it would need to, it only made $11.6 million in the US at box office. It had a budget of $25 million, so it would have needed like another 40 million internationally, which doesn't, I'm skeptical of the idea that that would have happened. Other notable things about this film: it is written by Dan. It is screenplayed by Dan O'Bannon, friend of the pod, for directing our nice little Return of the Living Dead, writing and directing. He also most famously, he is the writer of one of the writers of Alien, like the, how to say this, the formative, I would say like the formative writer for Alien. Other people did do rewrites on it, but he is instrumental to that. He's like the first guy who would put onto it. But yeah, very prestigious guy. He never quite got super big. He was the writer for Total Recall. He's got some story credit. He's got a story credit on. He's got a story credit on Alien vs Predator. This is, yeah. This is after Alien. Perhaps the bits of cutting, because the beginning of 40, the first bits that I had mentioned where they had cuts, where like they had cut out a lot of buildup from the beginning, that's all the stuff that would have been the most like Alien. Maybe that's why they didn't want to draw as much a comparison.
Fair enough.
um because it's already like Dan O'Bannon's previous work, Dark Scar, also has some like a lot of similarities to Alien already. So they may have wanted to be less similar there. But but yeah, Dan O'Bannon, always fun to see him. Other than that, we have some notable little characters in this. Patrick Stewart's in it about halfway through. He has
I
like a
thought
bit
that
part in
was his
this.
voice, but I didn't turn my head enough to see if that was actually him. I just assumed
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. No, he's wearing a wig in this, or I don't know. Did he have hair in '85?
I have no clue.
I don't. Yeah, I didn't.
Hey, when was Star Trek coming out? Like, because I feel like
Late '80s, so it's a few years
late
after.
'80s.
It's a few years from now.
So it's a very good possibility that he was already bald by that point in time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And, uh, Dune, because oh
Yeah,
yeah, he's Dune is the year before this. So, and
fair
he's
enough.
doesn't have any hair in that. So yeah, he's wearing. Actually, no, he doesn't have a wig in this either. But no, they just dressed him up. But yeah, he's a character in this. I'm forgetting when he had hair. But yeah, I know they put him on stuff, giving him hair at different points, but or he's had hair at different points. Oh, I know they did. That's a funny Next Generation story. They did have him like do a screen test in a toupee for Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can find it sometime. Find it if you look hard enough. But so yeah, no, he was bald in this. But yeah, he's a bit of a bit part in this. He's put high in the cast list, but he's maybe only in it for less than 10 minutes, going into a little bit before the third act. It is starring Steve Railsback as American astronaut Colonel Tom Carlson, and the other male lead is Peter Firth as Colonel Colin Kane, and then Peter Firth is the British lead, the British male lead, who not a guy I've known too much. But yeah, he's the British male lead. Oh, he was. I guess he was in the. He was in the Jesus movie from 2016. He plays Dorian Gray in a BBC thing. Nothing too. Yeah, none of these guys are too big. Yeah, weirdly enough, Patrick Stewart way down the bottom. He's he's one of the biggest guys. Ned Price plays Sidney Livingstone. The female lead is the other next biggest lead is Frank Finlay, a British actor who's done some Shakespeare and stuff. And then the female lead is played by Mathilda May. Does some stuff. She is a French actress. Trying to find if she's mostly French films. Yeah, she's mostly in French film and television. But yeah. So it's no one's super huge in this, other than Patrick Stewart, who's just sort of a bit character. Notably, yeah, this is directed by Tobey Hooper, um, known for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, writer, director, producer of Chainsaw Massacre. That's his big thing. Also,
Which one?
the original.
The original.
Also, the second one, though he was only director and composer
Fair enough.
on that one. Um, Poltergeist, he did that. That's yeah. So he's got some credentials here. Um,
Or he'll get some credentials. I don't know the.
nope. This is firmly in between the Texas Chainsaws.
Ah,
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is 1974. The next Texas Chainsaw Massacre is 1986. Poltergeist is in 1982.
fair enough.
And then he does Eggshells Eaten Alive, The Funhouse. Done some television. Yeah, he's actually got like the except maybe with the exception of maybe Dan O'Bannon, he's probably got the biggest pedigree here.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so that's very nice. Yeah, this is sadly obviously didn't make its money back, so it's something. But getting into it, um, we are open to film being introduced to the space shuttle, the HMS Churchill,
Yes.
uh, because they are going to find Halley's Comet, which is on its one of its nearing to the Earth, which places this movie either in the previous years from this movie came out, which would make it contemporaneous, which I don't, which no, that doesn't work. Or it's set in the future of 2061. Notable factors of this alternate 2061: the Germanys are still separate because they do a little news show and they reference the West German franc. They mention Hong Kong, but that's not necessarily Hong Kong's almost certainly still around in 2026, 2061. 2061 is, by the way, just the next time the Halley's Comet comes close to Earth. It comes around every 80 some years or something like that. So yeah. And also the other fun tidbit is they are still, I did say Her Majesty's, yeah, Her Majesty's ship, because they reference Her Majesty in this, which implies there is a Queen of England. There is a Queen of England in 2061, which, barring somebody coming out as trans, this means that Princess Charlotte has become queen in the 2060s or by the 2060s.
I am not
Okay,
British enough to get this joke. And if you have to explain it, it doesn't exactly work as well as it should.
Princess Charlotte is third in line for the throne right now.
But that's somebody who's currently alive, and it's
Okay, so her
2026, so it must
dad is the going to be the next king of England. She
after.
had, yeah, after Chuckles here.
Okay.
Um, and then Prince William has a son. I'm forgetting his name. So who presumably Prince, I forget his. I don't. Who gives a shit? Would have to not have any kids or like abdicate or something.
Mhm.
Which would put Princess Charlotte on the throne after presumably an abdication or death of the presumably at some point King William. So yeah, so this it's a little bit of a weird. It's a possible prediction, but it's not the most likely situation. Of course, they had no way of knowing this because these children we're referencing would be born in the 2000s, so a firm 20 years after this film comes out.
But here's the other argument. Maybe something happens in the year 2045, and there was a rebellion, and somebody else becomes king and or
That
queen.
or the paparazzi finishes the job because they killed Prince William's mom.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think.
possible.
I don't know. Is Diana Prince William's mom? I have no idea. I only barely double check this with my expert on the English monarchy, so, and I already had that wrong. So
I am not an expert on English monarchy either. So,
yeah, not really. I don't. I mean, I just don't have any respect for the institution, but that's neither here nor there. So they are taking the HMS Churchill to the Halley's Comet. They have found a some sort of spaceship attached to the back of the comet, hiding in the tail. Because of the tail is also jamming communication with Earth. They are going in there with no like contact with ground control. They take the risk anyway because I mean Haley's comet always comes over, only comes over every 80 years, and what's the worst that could happen? So they end up catching up with the comet. Several members of the crew end up doing a spacewalk into this space vessel. It appears to be quite organic. They fly through it. They find a number of dead bat creatures, some sort of aliens. Deeper inside the spacecraft, they find three human looking individuals trapped in some sort of like crystalline force field, which is just a glass case, but so they take a sample of one of the dead bodies and take the three human looking creatures in the glass cases back to the ship. Um, our main character, our main character, Steve Railsback. It is also clarified that this is a joint American British operation. So there are British people on the crew and Americans on the crew. Notably, this is also the first vessel of its kind to have artificial gravity technology so that the filmmakers can save money. Other than that, these space shuttles just look like regular space shuttles, which means that we started making space shuttles again.
Yeah, I wonder what a like deep seated like global crisis was used to force that up, because NASA notoriously doesn't do anything unless there's like a imminent threat into like the United States that they're like, hey, we need to.
Well, as we've established, West Germany is still around, so that implies East Germany is still around, which I guess would imply the Soviet Union is still around. So maybe that
Okay,
has
fair
something to do
enough.
with it.
Another space race.
Yeah, no, we only really got like a little bit of a push on the
Also,
space
okay,
shuttles. Yeah, well, go ahead.
so if this is set currently in the year 2060, I guess the other option would be like 19
Like
or
84.
84.
Yeah.
And the comet comes by every 80 years.
Yeah.
And there's like, according to the lore in the film, there's a known history of these things on planet. The last time would be Dracula, maybe.
Possibly. Oh god, you can I can actually Haley's Comet.
I guess when you have the internet, no,
Yeah.
no.
It's also famously it's also famously like one of the big things we've managed to track
Fair.
um is like a celestial body. There
Hmm.
we go. So yeah, so 86 would be the year in the 80s when when this would be coming by. Previous Previously it had shown up in 1910, 1835, 1756, 1682, 1607, 1531, 1456, 1378, 1301, 1222. When does Vlad the Impaler live? I guess if okay, so he's 1450s. So he becomes a voivode of Wallachia in 1456, which is a day, which is a time, which is a appearance of Haley's Comet. So that's something, I guess.
I guess if you're gonna like understand vampire lore, it would help
Yeah.
to like almost
Um.
write a book on vampires.
Other
So
than yeah. Other than that,
just gonna assume you know more than I do on this situation at
yeah.
least.
Alternatively, you could go with like 1835, which would put like the novel, like assuming like Dracula isn't Vlad the Impaler. You could put him on Earth in like 1835, and that would be a reasonable time for like Dracula to be around for the uh, events of the novel. Um, what year is Dracula? God damn it! I put a slash at the end of Dracula by accident. Okay, Dracula the novel is 1897. So yeah, if you put him on 1835, that'd mean he'd be around for 60 years. It works. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, so yeah, the pale humanoids they bring off this spaceship are like the inspiration for vampires in our real world, according to this movie. So yeah, that's yeah, notably our main character, Tom Carlson, like is infatuated with the lady vampire, who I will just mention here. If you watch the movie, she is naked for a full half hour of it, probably something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, she is.
For those that are weirdly keeping track of this
Yeah,
sort
I.
of thing.
It's there might be. I think there's like some scare scenes where she's clothed.
I think
Uh,
notoriously for half the film, she's wearing a garbage bag by the looks of things for a while there. I can't remember where. I guess that might be a different actress, but
Yeah, no, and she did steal some clothes from somebody at some point. But no, she is yeah, it is significant. I'll say that much. It
yeah,
is.
you gotta like. This was a very different time.
Yeah, yeah, it is that might be part of the reason it didn't it had some trouble at the theaters. I mean, even
Fair
it's an
enough.
80s movie, so like there is like you can put like nudity in a theatrical movie just fine, but it's a little different for like the amount of it that's shown. Like
Do you
yeah.
think that they came into some issues when trying to market this at one point in time, and they're like, well, we don't have we can't leave her just naked the whole entire film, so let's put her into a garbage bag because like that's the only like plausible explanation that I can think of is like when they're like,
Yeah,
hey, we
I
need a
mean,
set design, hey, let's put her in a garbage bag.
I guess, but even then like she the part of the movie where she has clothes is the parts of the movie where she appears the least.
Okay,
Um
fair.
like that is yeah, this is it's someone maybe should like if they had ambitions of this being like a mass market movie, maybe you do something. Um
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it is as I can see them stitching in some problems with this, or maybe like a theater's not like wanting to carry it because it is
Or
yeah,
they were trying to sit there and time it, like, oh, we can
yeah.
only do 29 minutes of like full frontal nudity, so we have to like cut it off at like 25 or something to be able to.
I I guess that might actually be a thing. They do have like literal like time constraints.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
There was a couple of I don't know if I got like a weird cut of the film, but there was a couple times where they like felt like they didn't finish like a line of dialogue and like weirdly cut it to
Yeah,
like a completely different scene or something. So now I'm trying to
yeah. There's two cuts of this film: a 116-minute long cut and a 101-minute long cut. The version on Tubi is the 116-minute cut.
okay, fair enough.
So yeah, there's 50. That's the international cut. TriStar has the slightly short ordered the 101-minute cut. So
Hmm.
that's what you get in the American version, like the American theatrical release. Maybe that's where maybe I don't know if they cut out 50 minutes of nudity. That's entirely possible, honestly. I'm not interested enough to figure that out. But even then, there I do feel like there's a lot of scenes that could have been. I feel like there's definitely like a version of reality where you make this into like a 2.5 hour film.
I
Because
guess it depends what you're trying to add to it.
yeah, I mean, there's obviously some stuff in the beginning, but even like that, the two male vampires they barely get any screen time. Like they
Uh,
fully have like their that subplot is just like they are killed off screen later in the movie.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like they are those actors they get to do that are like up are only like bit players. They are up for a full 3 seconds and they just get shot a bit. And they yeah, it's played by Chris Jagger and Bill Mullen. Oh, Chris Jagger is literally Mick Jagger's younger brother.
Oh,
But yeah, they're barely in the movie. They're mostly eye candy in a movie where the female lead is naked for half an hour. But yeah, like that's a subplot that you could have had like another 10 minutes of easy.
mhm.
And like it's a little ridiculous because like toward the end Frank Finley's character is just like, oh yeah, we killed those characters off screen. Granted, before that there is some fancy effect shots with them where we find out that the main battle rifle of the British SAS of the SAS in the 2060s is the Steyr Og, which is interesting. I guess the British military went back to bullpups. So yeah, Steel Rail's back character's Tom Carson is infatuated with the vampire. He finds her sort of irresistible. Um, Notably, while they are on the vessel, they start feeling weaker. Um, in the next scene we see with this vessel, it has entered Earth's orbit, but has not gone into making an approach. And as as the characters on ground control are saying, it's almost as if they are just doing the last thing that they were set up to do. And in order to like go down to earth they need to like stop, like put in another input, which apparently just has not happened. So their solution to this is to send up the Columbia space shuttle. Oh god, I just remembered. Tell me the Columbia isn't the one that blew up.
Uh,
Oh fuck.
no, I thought that was a Challenger.
No, oh no, it is. Yeah, it's the oh no, they're both.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so the space shuttle Columbia is the one that breaks up on re-entry,
Okay.
um, which happened on 2003. Um, so and yeah, if I'm correct, the Challenger. Yeah.
Might have been the 90s, actually.
Okay. Yeah, the Challenger is 86. So that's the next year. But yeah, Challenger's the one that blew up with the school teacher on it in like in '86. The Columbia is the one that disintegrates in. This is also presumably a second, like not the same space shuttle Columbia. But I don't know, when did the space shuttle Columbia? The Space Shuttle Columbia was built in 1981. So these would have been also like this is also to be noted. The space shuttles were kind of the hot shit when this movie was made,
Okay.
because they were getting built in the 80s. But yeah, the Columbia is the one that breaks up on reentry, which is much like our review of Gotcha, where like that turned out to be there was just a school shooting on that campus. It is sort of something, and they do sort of just leave the Columbia to like disintegrate on a reentry. I think they don't mention it again for the rest of the movie after we see it. Um, so the so they send up the Columbia to go check on everybody. They find that everyone aboard the ship is dead, turned into lifeless husks, and set on fire. They find the data tapes. They report to the general public that these data tapes are destroyed, but they have just been wiped. They're not sure if everyone on the space shuttle has been killed. they're having some trouble. They had some trouble nailing down how many bodies they found. And depending on the disaster, they might just be gone or whatever. But they bring down the three, what we know to be the space vampires, down on the Columbia, and they go to examine them in Britain, somehow, noticeably in a building with terrible security. Like actually, like to the point where it strains credulity, because yeah, they do believe these bodies are dead, but yeah, they're just left in this office building, and everyone in the office building is not entirely aware of what's going on with these, because when the eventually, while they're examining them, the lady vampire, who is only credited as Space Girl, again played by Mathilda May, um, she gets up and kills one of the guards, and one of the medical examiners. And when she is escaping, the security team on the vessel is not familiar with what's going on. Yeah, it's kind of egregious. Granted, and I don't think it's even necessary, because it's just like they did think this thing was dead, and I don't know how the security guards would have reacted much differently if they had known, because they wouldn't have necessarily. They also don't necessarily say like, "Oh yeah, one of the aliens has like revived and started killing people." And they don't, and the security is not given like proper instructions on how to deal with her, so they get like electrocuted because the space vampires have electric powers. Notably, she does not drain the security guards as she did the medical examiner and the guard earlier, probably because she's fed. Also, notably in this thing, the vampires don't like feed on people. They're very much energy vampires,
Yep.
which is, yeah, I don't know.
You don't need their blood. I guess that you would say that they need their
Energy, life.
no.
Oh, right, life force.
There you go.
Yeah,
There we go.
that is the point. Our main scientist character who's in this, he talks Hans Falada. He is a death expert, like a death scientist,
What
and
does
he
the
is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what does that even mean? That
Um,
you're a death expert?
well, I mean, there's definitely like biological, like, yeah, it's he's an expert on like how things die. It's a valid academic thing, I think.
Yeah, but like,
Um,
how do you become an expert on death?
um, I think it's just you do stuff that you get when you do a PhD. I imagine he has like a dissertation on like, as like his doctoral thesis is like on something to that effect. Yeah, like that's just his like specialization.
That's all I'm saying is I feel like this is a very like bullshittable role.
Eh, I
Like I
mean,
could call myself an expert on I don't know, something completely and entirely unobservable, but also somehow
yeah. I mean,
observable. Like,
I assume this guy has like doctoral thesis of some sort of like, oh, the
yeah, but
biochemistry of dying. I think that's what's
okay,
implied. Yeah.
sure, that makes a
Um.
little bit more
Yeah.
sense. But
Yeah, they say he's a biochemist specializing in death.
so, like, how the body breaks down after they die, more so than what happens after death.
Yeah, he does talk about that. He does like specify that like he believes people have animals have like a life force. It should be noted that the Colin Wilson, the writer of Space Vampires, many of his nonfiction books are like on pseudoscience, occultism, and like weird psychiatrists, notably like Wilhelm Reich, who was like who was like an after he is like the second generation of guys who the school thought that Freud's from, who's notably, I read a little bit about him, he's a bit of a kook. I think he claimed he could cure cancer at one point. Yeah, this psychologist. Yeah, he's also, he's done a lot of weird occult books, and like I imagine this guy does do a lot of like he do like they do a lot of work with like hypnotism on this. He does like books about
Well, even in this series or in this movie, there's a whole hypnosis whatchamacallit, like, coming up. So the main character under hypnosis or whatever to try and like gain back the memories that he lost during the travels.
he does have a book called Occult, the Occulta History. I think it's a little after this comes out, but he does do some nonfiction books that are he does do some anti-Marxist stuff later in
Mhm.
his career. He does write a book called Afterlife: An Investigation of Evidence of Life After Death. That's a book he's done. He did a book on Aleister Crowley. He did a book on the in 1989, as the Soviet Union's going. He does a book called Decline and Fall of Leftism. So that's a thing. He's just he's got a lot of like out there ideas. Fuck, I did see one that was just like, oh yeah, Marx Refuted: The Verdict of History, edited by Colin Wilson. It's mostly by Ronald Duncan. But yeah, he does stuff like that. He's I think he writes on a lot of like eclectic subjects that he thinks he knows more about than he does. Which, given some of the things that happen in this movie, I kind of I totally understand that that's the kind of person he is. So back to Britain. Yeah, they do eventually. The woman manages to escape after she gets past all the security guards. They call at this point. They call in the SAS, who come to help out. At this point, everyone sorts of starts to get their shit together, even though it should have been they should have had their shit together before this. They fill in our male lead, uh, played by Peter Firth, Colin Kane. They film like, oh yeah, the escape pod is gone. We don't know what happened with that. He explains the caskets are force fields. Um, the male vampires eventually do come up. A few of the SAS guys unload their Styrogs into them. That does not do much. So one of the guys does the logical thing and throws a grenade. This manages to kill the two vampires. And apparently these vampires go on to possess these security guards. And this eventually leads to the thing I mentioned earlier about these guys being killed off screen later in the film. That will be about an hour from now, in the movie. At this point, the corpse of the woman's first victim rises. She is eaten, or he is like obviously drained, and we see this rotting corpse rise. It is actually a quite impressive effect. Yeah, this is quite a it's actually quite well done effect. Puppeteering. Um yeah, this is perhaps making some use of, I don't know, maybe Life Force borrows some expertise from Dan O'Bannon's time in Return of the Living Dead, which is being made in the same year as this, presumably. Yeah, it's quite an interesting effect. I don't know if maybe Dan O'Bann hooked them up because this is taking place in the same time. Although Dan O'Bann's normally only a writer on this, so it's hard to say if there could have been any interbreeding there, but it was quite nice. They do manage to hold this the corpse does manage to grab on to one of the medical examiners and drain him of life. They are after the corpse like regains some life force and becomes more stable. He is able to be like sort of shifted into like a holding cell, which is kind of interesting. Notably, this facility doesn't have like a proper holding cell. This is probably just a budgetary issue. I don't think if there's one thing about this movie, the sets do come across as a little cheap. Um, just because, again, this movie kind of does seem to take. This movie would kind of have to take place in the 2060s, but it all looks just like the 1980s. Which I guess there maybe the implication is that this does take place in the 1980s. Maybe that would make it more makes more sense. But I think it's funnier to pretend that the Britain regresses to the 1980s, given what's happening over there, which isn't a good sign because I don't think the 80s were very good for them. Yeah, this film. See, yeah, that's well, honestly, yeah, it is. It is very much a criticism. Eventually,
I was gonna mention like what breed would we call these at this point in time? Because like they're technically thralls if we're going off the idea of
oh
like
yeah,
these being vampires, but technically they would be zombies because I don't think the thralls can make other
um,
vampires.
I think in this case we would be calling them vampires. They are
Okay.
not like there is a concept in some vampire media of like, oh, there's vampires and then there's like vampires, where like the original there's like the original, and those are the three people we pull off the spacecraft. And then
Mhm.
everyone else is like a lesser vampire, which is kind of like sired by them in some things. Like, and sometimes you do the vampire thing where like, oh, we have to kill the original vampire in order to free the guys who have been turned into a vampire underneath.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is precedent for like, oh, okay, if you're like a yeah, everyone, you can turn other people into vampires, but there's like a hierarchy where like, oh, Dracula, like the original like Dracula guys, like he's the guy that made like the deal with the devil and like made him and like isn't been infused with the power of Satan and has made himself like the big bad. And then everyone else is just like a like a goon sort of thing. But they are no, I'd say these are full vampires. It's just that like thankfully like they do have enough control over the situation, but like these lesser vampires do seem to have need to be like constantly sucking on life force. Like it
Okay.
is like they tend to degrade quite quickly. Is effective from a certain point of view. It causes chaos, which it does quite a bit of that. As we will see, our vampire or like a victim who has just become who has just killed another person. They seal him in a cage. Eventually, it like needs to hunger again, and it eventually dies and eventually just turns into dust when it cannot feed enough.
Sure.
we also do see one of the other victims leap up and then run straight into a cage and is just like disintegrate. Yeah, so it's something going on. They are having some trouble tracking down the lady vampire who has made her way out. Yeah, also like we will say that like this is it is sort of confusing how this all works. It is a vampire story, but this film also like heavily takes inspiration from like Lovecraft stuff. This is meant to be, these things are meant to be more interpreted as like this cosmic horror, who are like they're
Yeah.
getting into people's heads and like driving them mad, and that's where a lot of the terror comes from. But yeah, that's where, and Colin Wilson is like on record as like wanting to like make this very much like a like a Lovecraft thing. That's kind of his gold. Oh, it should also be noted that in the novel they just pick this thing out in the asteroid. They just pick these guys out of the asteroid belt. Also, the main guy was Olaf Carlson in the novel.
Olaf or Olaf?
Like Olof,
Okay.
instead of Tom Carlson. Presumably, yeah, I don't know who this guy. Like, it doesn't say where he's from. Also, the ship was called the Hermes. I kind of
Mhm.
like the change. I kind of like the change. It's the Churchill. Calling it the Churchill is weird. That doesn't really fit into the British's like naming conventions for rocket ships. They tend to be more like Black Knight and Blue Knight is like some of their prominent ones. Yeah, they
Yeah.
just operate a little differently. Churchill's more of a battleship name, whereas this is an exploratory thing. And Churchill's not really like an explorer guy, so maybe in his own mind, but so they're having some trouble tracking this down. And eventually at this point, the escape pod turns up, containing Colonel Tom Carlson from the beginning of the movie. And it has been pointed out that the guy has conveniently landed in Texas, which is quite inconvenient because it lands on the ground. Notably, these sort of landers he shows up in are just, it's just one of the ones that where the parachute comes out from the top. These things are supposed to land on the water.
Yeah.
So like this thing landing on land would basically kill this guy. So yeah, but they do pull the colonel out of the escape pod with no injuries, miraculously. Honestly, if this movie wanted to go in that direction, they could have just said, "Oh yeah, Tom Carlson's a vampire now, and that's how he survived the crash." But that's not something they bring up. I think they just didn't want to. Again, this film has cheap sets. They almost certainly would have been were not able to afford doing like a lake rescue or anything. Fortunately, the effects are largely good. Not perfect, but they're okay. So they fly, and this is another bit of evidence. I think that this takes place in the 2060s. Tom Carlson is instantly flown to England to deal with this. Like it takes no time at all. So I guess they got supersonic jets in the 2060s. Nice to know they brought that back. I'm gonna really enjoy getting to Europe in less than in like 4 hours. I mean, granted, military aircraft, maybe they get there a little faster, but whatever. So at this point, also while this is going on, they've reported that they found a dead body in one of the parks in London. They found a dead woman and clarify that the girl, the space girl, is like, I hate that. I really wish they had given this character a name. I really don't like that we're just like not doing this, and we're not we're just not at all giving this character any agency at all. just making her. She's fairly threatening, but they don't characterize her at all. But I do know that like they do have names in the novels. They do sort, or at least their species has names in the novels. They're called like the Ubosaltha, the Sathala in the novels. Yeah, so now the lady vampire is going to be quite hard to spot because she's just a lady in like clothing. We get some more scenes, blah blah blah. Carlson has a nightmare, and Falada recommends hypnotizing him. Um, because as a biochemist, that's a thing he can do. So they hypnotize him, and he's able to get a mental link with the lady vampire and finds out that she seduced an old guy and that she is a nurse, and they are able to track down through the memory he sees in the hypnosis thing the license plate of the guy she picked up, and they track down that guy, and he explains that that lady he picked up was a nurse who works at a psychiatric hospital. This is a wild series of events, and it's honestly kind of why the movie lost me. This movie's psychobabble is absolutely some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. I I should notice something that I like bopped out. I noticed while we were like looking through this in the production notes on Wikipedia. Guess who they had offered the lead vampire role initially? I'll give you a hint. British musician, fancy hair.
Ooh.
It's okay. I'll give you a hint. It's a musician, uh, punk aesthetics, male.
I
I'll notice that it was a male actor. They
was
initially
gonna say Madonna, but
nope,
nah, it's definitely not a male
no, they
actor.
were originally going to have a
Uh,
male.
Punk aesthetics. Is he British?
Yeah, British,
Sid
English.
Vicious?
No, close.
Johnny Rotten.
No, it's Billy Idol. They had offered him money.
Okay.
Yeah, they had
How
offered
much?
Billy Idol a bunch of money. They were gonna play him a vampire, but he couldn't do it because of touring commitments. And it also I think they also noticed offered it to a guy called John Gielgud, who's a Shakespearean actor who said he was, who says, and I quote, "I was recently offered an enormous sum to play in a film called Space Vampires, and I nearly fell for it because it would have been nice to have had the money. But next time I heard from them, the figure had somehow been reduced by half, so I said no."
Like half of a large sum of money is still a large sum of money.
Uh, yeah, but I mean, clearly they didn't want to spend the money. Like
Fair.
they clearly didn't want to put in a bunch of money to fancy actors for this. Um,
I don't know what you would want from these people, anyways.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not gonna like begrudge Billy Idol, but I don't
no.
know how well his acting chops are up to
Um,
like.
I feel like Billy Idol's been in. Oh, and the connection was because Hooper directed the one of the Billy Idol music videos. He did the Dancing with Myself music video.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know what other movies he's in.
Um,
Um,
for
or if he's in
those
any
of you who
movies.
didn't know, both of those the people that I mentioned earlier were both from the Sex Pistols, which were very British and very punk. So Billy Idol wasn't even on my like hit
Yeah, it
list there
wasn't.
for
Yeah,
punk.
no, I was. It was. I just did aesthetics, but Yeah, and I don't know, he does some other stuff. Like I don't know, he does the Cyberpunk album. So
Does he?
it's yeah, he did an album called Cyberpunk, which I need to listen to
Uh,
at some point. It's apparently not very good. But yeah, it's based off the novel.
not
Um,
off the game.
well, the game is also based off the novel.
Okay, but
Oh
yeah,
wait, no, sorry.
the game has a full soundtrack though, is what
Oh,
I'm
okay,
trying
hold
to get
on.
at.
No,
Like,
I'm confused. Okay. Okay, so Neuromancer is like inspired by Cyberpunk is inspired by Neuromancer in several parts. So which is the uh like inspiration for Cyberpunk. Yeah, anyway, we're not going into that right now.
fair
Uh
enough.
so but yeah, no, it's just the psycho babble in this kind of just annoys me. And I kind of feel like given what I'm seeing on like Colin Wilson's like nonfiction stuff, I think he does seem to be like a guy that writes like sort of non-critically of these crazy people. He does a lot of like books that are like really weird psychobabble bullshit. Like I think here's a fucking example. Like he has a book in 1966 that's called Sex and the Intelligent Teenager. Like I don't
Uh,
yeah. No, this so I'm like I think I got like a weird vibe off a lot of stuff that was happening in this. And we're only at the beginning of it. Yeah, and it's also like hypnotism doesn't work like that. Although I totally believe he thinks it works like that.
fair enough.
Because he just yeah, I think he does right. Again, the Wilhelm Reich stuff. I think that's sort of I don't know for sure that that's a glowing biography of him, but Wilhelm Reich is like a guy that he wrote two books about. Yeah, and he just yeah, it's weird, but he's got weird ideas. So they're able to track this nurse down to the psychological hospital. They want to go talk to the lady. Um, Colin goes in to talk to the nurse. And starts asking her some questions. Notably, this nurse does not look like the woman we're looking for, but it's believed, given some stuff we're going to learn, it's believe Carlson believes that this woman is being possessed in a certain way. So this woman would be a thrall.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. Firmly within the definition, I think, or at least she was being used as one. She does not claim to remember the incident with the old man that was apparently seduced. But so in the scene, Tom Carlson grabs onto her, starts shaking her around, and says, "It's okay. She's a masochist." So yeah, that's not great. And Kane, who's with him, seemingly is the more sane member of the group, is just like, oh yeah, I want to see how this goes.
Uh,
Yeah,
that's definitely not 100% what he said.
he does definitely not step in here. I think he should have been.
Okay, but that's definitely not what he said.
Oh,
At
what?
least not in my version, unless we got a fucking very weirdly different version.
Yeah, how would you why don't you fill?
The guy says, like, whatever, she's a masochist, she wants to watch, and the guy goes, yeah, it's okay, I'm a natural
Oh fuck
voyeurism, and
yeah,
then yeah, it's like a very different, very, and
yeah,
like,
no, sorry, I when you corrected
and
me, I thought somehow what you said was going to be better. So I assumed,
it's
which
like,
like
I want to watch.
yeah,
Like,
no, he does kind of. He just says like, "Oh yeah, I'm a natural voyeur to this clearly, apparently unhinged man who we're just letting do whatever he wants. And also, I should be noticed that Kane will go along with everything Carlson does, despite the fact
Mhm.
that Carlson is acting insane. Which given Colin Wilson's bibliography, I assume this is stuff that's transferred in from the book. Should be also noticed that some of the other books that he writes are the Spider World novels.
Not a clue.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're really popular, but I'm just looking at it here. Oh god, the Wikipedia is nothing. Uh, the plot summary of the first one is a novel in which humankind has been enslaved and driven to outlawry by giant spiders in the far future.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not
Um,
scary at all.
yeah, no, it sounds kind of fun. That might be a fun little D&D set, like a nice little D&D campaign. I wouldn't mind
I
that.
really don't like spiders. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not scared of spiders, but I'm also not like a fan of
Mm-hmm.
spiders. I don't know how to
Yeah.
define that. I guess
I
that
mean,
technically be like classified as a phobia of some sort, but
yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's like, and like, there's clearly people like, oh, arachnophobia is like a thing where like they immediately faint upon seeing a spider. So it's like you're kind of working on that spectrum there, or with knowledge of
yeah.
that spectrum, right? Yeah, it's like saying I have a buddy who's like, if I said I don't like getting a needle, I'd have like a buddy that's just like, oh yeah, no, I you don't like needles. I faint when I get see a needle.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's something. After doing this for a moment, Carlson comes to the conclusion that the vampire has moved on from this woman. So he goes back into the building and says, and like is asking the master of the asylum, Dr. Armstrong, played by Patrick Stewart. This is his scene in the movie. um they're just like, oh yeah, what's going on here? It's like, who is he talk to? I saw that there was a guy in the lady's vision that was like a heavy set guy with like a birthmark on one side of his face. Is he around? And he's like, oh yeah, that's I think it's Sykes, or yeah, it's a character called Sykes played by Ken Perry, who they dress up. He's like, oh yeah, it's Sykes, the child murderer, who's known to have like who is like a, what's the word I'm looking for? He's got some mental disability. He's apparently killed some kids, I'm guessing. So they're just like, so they say to Dr. Armstrong, hey, we'd like to hypnotize Sykes to maybe get some information out of him. And he's just like, yeah, sure, I guess. And when Dr. Armstrong's assistant comes by to give him some of the stuff they do to prime people for hypnotism, they capture Dr. Armstrong and inject him with the stuff. So because they've concluded somehow off screen that Dr. Armstrong is actually the one who is possessed by the vampire.
Sure.
So they hypnotize him and eventually get the vampire to talk through his body. It's interesting, and they're trying to get some eventually it just like they managed to figure out where the vampire is actually hiding. She's apparently in St. Paul's Cathedral. Yeah, which is a big fancy Anglican cathedral in London. It's where the Bishop of London sits. So yeah, apparently she's there. It's at this point we also get like what really happened on the Churchill. Apparently Carlson had said he was the only one to survive, and that like some of the other guys had been dying before him, and that he had sort of escaped by the skin of his teeth. But apparently Carlson was the first one who was really held in sway by the vampire and had been the one to erase the tapes and whatnot, and I guess had been like assisting the vampire in killing her, or in killing the rest of his crew. which it's wild this reveals happens, and Carlson isn't revealed to be some sort of villain. Yeah, in like the original, he like in the novel, he does something very different. He sort of learns the vampire's ways. But yeah, it's interesting. So it's revealed that like he's chiefly responsible for the deaths on the Churchill. Yeah, I don't know how he's not a villain in this. It's probably a bit of a problem. So in the meantime, we get our clip from off screen where they get picked up in a helicopter because martial law has been declared because the city has gone the city of London has gone into chaos. So yeah, that's happening here. So they go back to the command to like ground control, I guess. It's they get a phone call from Dr. Falata, who has apparently reported that the two male vampires had transferred into the soldiers that had killed them, and Falata has managed to stake one of those soldiers through the heart, killing him. So one of the vampires is officially dead, and this has all happened off screen. This could have been a thing that happened on screen, but I guess what they're doing is they will get back to ground control, and it is revealed that Falata has been possessed. So uh, Kane has to kill Falata. Well, Carlson goes ahead to go confront uh, Space Girl at the St. Paul's Cathedral. So yeah, and yeah, apparently Carlson and the lady vampire are like psychically merged, which is why he's wandered off. During this scene of what's the word I'm looking for? Martial law. There is the alien spaceship has disconnected from Halley's Comet and is absorbing life force that is getting sent upwards by the lady vampire. I hate that she doesn't have a name. This is driving me nuts. Yeah, they go to confront each other. I guess they're gonna go bang, is what's happening here. Because our female lead and Tom Carlson are naked again, they're not having sex on screen, I guess. They are just like storing like chest to chest. They're really close. But eventually Kane shows up, throws, I guess, the same pike that Falata had used to kill one of the male vampires. He throws it to Carson while Carlson and the vampire are, I don't know, jerking each other off. And Kane is able to stab the vampire, ending the threat. And the two of them ascend into the spaceship, which returns to the comet. Yeah, that's the end of the movie. Really falls off toward the end. There's some also things where like, oh yeah, we're doing this as like a remake of Quartermass and the Quatermass and the Pit, which is a British sci-fi movie from the late 60s. Uh, which yeah, it's I don't know that that's a valid thing, but it's very much also got like a part of it that's very much inspired by 60s British sci-fi, which has its charms, but this is not a great example of it. This is not Hooper's best work, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
There is definitely a part of me that wanted to like almost have a third person on this episode, and that would be like somebody who's very well versed in like feminist
Oh
literature,
God.
which like like first of all, I don't think this passes the Bechdel test.
Oh
Second
fuck
of all,
no,
I don't
no.
think that there's like some deep seated misogyny like hidden in this film. So
Absolutely.
Like, it's like female bad because female too feminine. We must destroy female.
Yeah, no, there's like, oh yeah, this is the epitome of like female, like this is literally in the movie. It's like, oh, this is the epitome of like female sexuality. It's such garbage.
Like it
uh,
was, but like I also feel that that's like a lot of not necessarily zombie movies, but like horror movies in general.
yeah,
Is there's some like deep seated misogyny in a lot of them, and I think one of the I think I remember hearing way back in the day that like one of the things that they wanted to create in the alien universe is the idea that like the reason why like people are scared so heavily from the alien film is that it'd be like a man giving birth and they don't want to see that type ordeal, the naturalness of like men being
I think there is more to,
incubations.
even then there's more to that than this. This is
Yeah.
just like, oh yeah, it's also like, even then I don't even think this isn't like a thing in the novel really. It's, yeah, there is stuff about like sexual fetishization in the novel according to the Wikipedia, but it's, yeah, it's different. And again, they did have two males who were like in this going to be the main one.
It's almost
Yeah.
like they didn't want to kill the male vampires on screen because that would draw like too much away from the female vampires.
Yeah, no, and they're really dedicated to like the female vampire plot, even though it's just
Yeah.
not something that's
Like, I can't necessarily like put my finger on it
yeah.
where like this icky feeling after watching this film is coming from, but I think it's definitely has something to do with maybe the main character being or main vampire being naked for like 86 minutes or something
Yeah, and it doesn't
insane.
get
Like,
better from that.
yeah.
Um like there's maybe some artsy fartsy thing you can do, but this film isn't doing it.
There's also like something to be said about like I watched a lot of Highlander back in the day, so I kind of understand where the like the graphics are coming from, but like the lightning effect while they're I'm gonna say bonding or whatever you want to call it, but like it's very Highlander television series esque.
Yeah, there's the puppetry effects are really good. The puppetry and
Hmm.
makeup, that's pretty good. Had nothing wrong with that. Certainly decent for the time. But yeah, it's, even then, like they, I think there's a version of this movie that's much better, that has like another 15 mil, 10, 15 mil in the budget, and then another like half an hour on the screen, and then maybe that's a lot better, but I'm kind of also skeptical that that they would have gotten much out of it. I don't think throwing another coat of paint on this movie is going to make it like infinitely better. Yeah, I'm kind of, this movie's kind of like a heavy 4, or like a good 4 for me. Again, I think, yeah, I think Cody hit something on the head there when he said, pointed out this didn't pass the McDowell test, because yeah, there is just, I, there might be some, there might be a scene at the very beginning where where, because there are multiple like female astronauts in the beginning of the movie, they might talk to each other, so this might barely by the skin of its teeth, like, but I don't even think that's true. I don't think that's there are bits of this movie that are good. The beginning is admittedly far too rushed. It is going very quickly. It doesn't let you build up. Yeah, again, and like there's also other reasons why Colin Wilson hates this movie. It is just pretty bad. But yeah, it's,
I don't know. I think I'm probably like a little bit more of like a 6.
I
I
can see
didn't
it.
hate it,
Yeah.
but I didn't like I don't know.
Yeah, I have my quibbles about it.
I think the premise is there. I think that the visuals and the story kind of works, but once again, I think you need definitely a bit of main character energy, I guess. Like I
Yeah,
didn't really like Steven. Uh
yeah. There's like four different people who are like the main characters at different points of the movie. Which is probably a holdover from the novel. Although the novel doesn't appear to have Kane in it, and the novel does feature Carlson's analog a lot better, a lot
mhm.
more thoroughly.
There was a thought process that I had the other night because there's a very big meteor shower happening right now. Like, and there was the idea way back in the day, like of zombie viruses is what they were called. It's not as exciting as it sounds. It's basically means that there's been a virus that's been dead for 2-3 thousand years that currently would exist in a vacuum such as an iceberg
Hmm.
or something like that to actually coming back to life. And my thought process was like, well, if it can survive in an iceberg, then in theory, it could survive in a comet in outer space.
Yeah,
But then I also forgot that, like, when you re-enter orbit, your whatever you're
yeah,
riding in normally like hits like multiple thousand degrees in Fahrenheit. So if there was some form of like disease on a comet, that it would eventually um, die because of the heat on reentry. But I don't know. That could be a cool premise.
there's some neat stuff in it, but I did definitely find it was definitely like the bit where Carlson really re-enters the things, and then stuff started going downhill from there.
Mhm.
Um, but if you want to read a good vampire book or a good vampire story, you can buy my novel, The Pennsylvanian by Kyle Rokenshire, on major online retailers.
And just remember, if you don't like the book, it's Colin Firth's problem, not Kyle's.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. I am blaming all my faults on Colin Wilson.
Sure.
Yeah, uh,
Colin Firth's an actor.
yeah. Peter Firth's in this movie.
Fair enough.
Uh, no relation as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I think Colin Firth's an American guy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. No, it's not mentioned anywhere on here. But yeah, yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Cody's gonna figure out what we're gonna review next at some point.
Some
Um,
point.
I don't know.
Put some thought
Yeah,
processes into it. Uh okay.
yeah. I'll edit it sometime over the weekend, or probably, and by that I probably mean over next week. But yeah, I think we're done here.